You need help. I got busy chatting.
Where do I put Larry so I don't lose him? Tamara, that's the better question. Where do I put him tonight? So I don't lose
It's not
him.
my responsibility anymore.
I'm gonna put it, oh, I have a money bag. I'll stick him in the money bag. That's pretty secure. Oh, and there's money in there.
Jamie, do you want to log into Simply Invite?
I cry.
Oh, yeah.
You're-
I'm the treasurer and secretary.
Other last things and
What's on your?
I,
I need about 2 more days in the week. Is it possible?
Only for weekend days.
yep, yeah, exactly.
What do you mean?
Trying to get her so she keep it.
You got a new one, yeah.
She got her now.
Yeah, just try it, what it was magically on.
I can see that.
I can see this, but I can't open anything. All right,
What's that one? Justin's. What is that?
you know what, you don't have to go through it, we can, Justin will drive and,
Make sure you don't do my computer.
I think I'm okay.
Can you do the old fashioned way, take hand notes?
That's right. It's always that. That is not my phone. I don't know who it is.
Mine, you can answer it.
Okay. Oh, see? Won't be trying to write minutes.
Are you ready, ma'am?
Ma'am.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order at 5:02. Everybody please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. All right. On my note here, we are on strategic priority number 1. I will read tonight. So as the mission is, we will empower a community of lifelong learners who strive for personal excellence through meaningful relationships and real world authentic learning experiences. And strategic priority number 1, increase student opportunities that integrate real world focus and application based learning to ensure all students are college, career, and life ready. Okay. Next up is conflict of interest declaration. Now's the time to declare if any of the agenda items pose a potential conflict of interest. I spoke with Cammie and we are going to pull out the personnel report out of the consent agenda and vote on it separately. If you've read it, my mother is now employed as an associate, or is going to be employed as an associate, so I just feel I want to abstain from that. So we'll pull personnel out and separate that from the consent. Anything else? Okay. Next up is approve the agenda with that modification. Is there a motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next up is greet visitors, a communication from the public. Anybody sign up to speak, Cammie, or anybody, anything?
Don't believe so. No?
Okay. We'll move right along to information only. Board vacancy, interested candidates. Thank you for coming tonight, guys. We have 4 individuals that have submitted papers. Tim Mose, Julie Knobloch, James Gagan, and
Alicia.
Alicia. Okay, I didn't want to butcher the name.
It's all right.
Alicia Harlan. Okay. So now is the time, guys. We'll just start. Mr. Mose, it's really hard to say Tim, it's Mr. Mose. We'll give each of you guys 3 to 5 minutes. We would ask that you come up to the podium because we do record our meeting, so that way you're on the camera. And you can have 3 to 5 minutes to kind of share with us why you feel you'd be a good candidate for this position. And just so you know, we also have your letters that were submitted as well in front of us. So, and this is just for you to present to us.
Okay, my name is Tim Mose. I've been resident of Winterset since 1988. And for the vast majority of my professional career, I was a teacher and coach in this district. I had 3 daughters come through here and get excellent educations. And the people of this community and the kids who have gone through this school have been a priority for me, for a passion for me for my entire adult life. And I just think that with my education and background, I think that I could bring some perspective to the board and continue doing what you guys have been doing. Because I think in talking with friends that I still have on staff, I think the district is going in a really, really good direction, and we have an excellent administration in place right now. I can't say that I've always felt that way over the last few years, but I think we're heading in the right direction. And I think I could lend a hand in keeping that going in the right direction. I think I have a base of support in the community that would be beneficial if we needed community support for things. And I think that is important for a board to have the community support. And there's just a few things that I think we can look at that would help us grow as a district. One of those things would be kind of a review of where we're at in terms of kids who opt to leave the district for whatever reason or homeschool. And I think we need to contact those families and say, what can we do or not do to get you to commit to our districts? I think, as I said, I think we're going in the right direction. And if we could bring those funds back home, I think that would help our budget and help our district. So I'd like to have the opportunity to help this community and give back to a community that's given a lot to us and family. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next on my list, I have James Gagan.
Afternoon, my name is James Gagan. I am going on a 15 years of residency here in Winterset. I married Darcy Aljo. She grew up and went through the Winterset School District. So we live out in Peru. We're very rural, gravel roads. I've got 4 kids that are currently in the district. They range from going to be a junior, that's hard to say, going to be a junior in high school all the way down to kindergarten. I've got the wide spectrum of ages there. I work as a medical physicist. I'm a medical physicist for 25 years now. The last 12 were for Unity Point, and recently I switched over to Mercy One. I believe that my training and experience as a medical physicist, both scientific and medical, puts me in a position where I can evaluate situations based on the evidence. Not dispassionately, not separated from the emotions of any kind of situation, but directed by a logical view. What does the data tell us? We can follow that data and see where it goes. I also have the pleasure of living in a rural area, as I've stated. I grew up in Southern California, right by the Rose Bowl, not a rural area. But in the last 15 years, I've become more of a farmer, and I have I believe a good view for what represents the people that live in our more rural areas, outside the city limits. Other than that, that's who I are. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, we will have the last one that's present, Alicia.
I'm Alicia Harlan. I live south of town on St. Charles Highway. My husband's son, my son is going to be a freshman. He's been at Winterset his whole career. It's been an amazing experience. You see different things online and it's been fantastic, and I can't speak. I'm almost sad he's moving from junior high into high school. So my application for this is a little bit more happens happenstance than intentional. He was on student council for 8th grade, now moving up to freshman student council. I was giving the mother a lecture of be present, be a leader, lead by example, develop skills, use those skills, etc. And about that time, the opening popped up on my Facebook page. I work in Norwalk. I've worked with City State Bank for 20 years. I'm the COO there. So I'm like, I don't know about this. I read the board mission. It felt I felt like, at least at the junior high level and up, it's been a very consistent experience from elementary through middle school, through junior high, which has been fantastic. I think, like it or not, everyone thrives in consistency. So it's been a very consistent, pleasant to fantastic experience, probably depending on who you are. So read the mission, then a couple days later, I walked into work and we've got 4 high school kids onboarding. So we hire a ton of high school kids. Indianola, Grimes, Madrid, Mount Air, someone, and those kids don't necessarily need to have a college education to come on and succeed with us. They have to show the characteristics that you had up there earlier. You know, self-starter, be present, be willing, and they seem to come on, they go all different directions. So I circled around and I submitted very last minute, because I'm like, am I committed to this or not? And I've also, with the bank, we've had like people on the Norwalk School Board for 15 years, and we've seen a ton of growth at Norwalk, obviously. So I bring no educational experience to this. I can read a statement of condition, I can read an income statement, I can deal with budgeting, I can deal with fixed assets, I can deal with regulation, all that side of it. I can only bring the parent side of whatever you've been doing seems to be working fantastically. And I've got friends that kids are probably going a different direction than my kid, and they seem to still be working out within it. So it was kind of a last minute. I didn't know how many people were gonna apply. Obviously, we have some like people here, but I felt like if you're gonna live in the community, buy here and shop here and work here, everybody should support kids doing what they can. This is my chance to submit an application for that. If you have questions, shoot them out.
Thank you very much. And I said the last one is Julie Knobloch. She was unable to attend tonight. And just so you guys know, we won't take any action on that right now. We'll take action when we get to that in new business. But just so you know, that position will the vacancy will run from starting in August, and we'll go through the next election cycle, which is fall of 25. And then at that time, whoever fills this vacancy, if they want to continue on, would have to go through the actual process of candidacy forms, getting signatures, running for the election, putting their name on the ballot, and then doing that, along with anybody. I think that's Malcolm and I in that next fall. So would be the process, but we'll make that decision later. You're welcome to stick around. You're welcome to leave. It's whatever you want to do. But we have a little bit of business to get through, and then we'll get to that. So thank you, you three, and then Julie as well, for turning that in. It is an important piece of our local community, which is the school board. So thank you guys. Justin, strategic plan monitoring report.
Yeah, so what I've provided for the board here are 4 documents that, if you remember back, those have been on the board going back when Dr. Mead was here. The college career ready that the district got involved in. There are some indicators that they pointed to that lay out college career success. We kind of expand on that a little bit and try to pull together some indicators that we could monitor. And this is our first blush at it. Obviously, I'll talk a little bit more later in the meeting, and I think Gina will hopefully add a little bit on the conference we went to. I think we even got a little more clarification on what this could look like, but this is just kind of our first attempt at putting some numbers together on where we're at with current things. So if you look at the elementary, number of students who are on grade level with fast reading is measured by the fast spring. You can see that kindergarten had 90%, first grade was 80%, second grade 73%. Third grade 77%, and overall as a building 80%. those scores are good enough to get us recognized by the Iowa Reading Council. If you guys saw that story that came out and was shared on Facebook, the growth that our elementary has shown in reading through OG is kind of what it is. So not 100%, but trending in the right direction and pretty strong numbers. And then math, as well as below 81% of the building at grade level on FAST there. So at the elementary career indicators, you know, how much daily attendance, do you show up every day? So you can see the building's at 92%. Zello lessons, so if you go back to the district career academic plan that you approved in May, I think as we brought it back to you. Zello is the platform that we use to track those things throughout the district. It's we pay for it. Students upload things to it. There's career lessons, exploration. It gets more intense, more fine-tuned as you go. But the elementary has lessons that they go through and do in Zello as well. So kindergarten, 48% has completed all of them. The building at 75%. Career-based presentation or speaker. So you'll see the speakers that they brought in each grade level at the elementary. And then the less than one out of school suspensions for the year. You can see that the only third grade had one student get suspended out of school. And then life ready indicators, 1 to 5 hours community service, a little tougher to elementary. And something, again, we'll try to build on as part of our strategic plan, but something we'll try to build on there. So that's the elementaries.
Maybe we don't want kindergartners out cleaning up the roadsides.
Well, we'll get there. We'll find something that they can do.
That's age appropriate.
We talked about, you know, I think sometimes we're narrow focused on community service, going and singing at the bank, going and doing those kind of things are a community service project. Azria came to us about coming out, playing board games, engaging with them. So I think sometimes we're too narrow on what we could do at the elementary, and there's some opportunities that we can grow there. So those are some things we talked about already for next year's ways to expand on that.
For the kindergarten,
Sorry.
Career-based presentation speaker. I was wondering what butter was, but that's when they make the butter.
Yes.
And
Yep.
then, I'm pretty sure Christine Hilbert came in and talked to all the
Art, yep.
kindergartners about being an author, and you
Oh,
could add that on there too.
probably something they missed. Yeah. So,
I had the same thought about butter. Oh, that's right. They
Yeah.
make butter.
yeah.
Oh,
So middle school, again, percent of students on grade level in reading, not as good. Definitely an area we need to work on there. We have expanded OG to that building. I think it's the second year for fourth grade, first for fifth grade. And then FAST and math, the building's at 70%. We're going to have some of the math teachers come in probably in the fall and talk about building thinking classrooms. If you saw the vertical whiteboards, I think I shared a little bit about it in my 4x4. That's something that Tamara's spearheading with the group and getting good buy-in, and students are doing well in that as well. So that's something we're trying to do to address those numbers. Career ready indicators, again, looking at attendance, 95% attendance across the building. And then the percent of students completing Zello activities. I need to make this bigger. Or get glasses. So 73% in progress, 65% in progress, and 59% in progress, and 30% in progress. And Zello is something we just started rolling out, so it's something that'll get better. But it's something we just rolled out this year for the lower grade levels. It's been something at the high school, third year, Corey.
Yeah,
Third
that's
year.
how they build their 4-year plan and do
Yeah.
those types of things too with the high school coursework.
And then less than 1% out of school suspension, you see those numbers. And then again, the community service, not something we've tracked there. And then the profile graduate rubric is something that we, as you know, is the focus for us this year. When we go back to our strategic priorities, so. There's the middle school, junior high, again. This is based on iReady, and passing their classes, so the percentage of students who pass all their classes in 6th grade. 8th grade, 72% as a building. iReady is more standards based. Corey, correct?
Yep, it's a standards based and it's a adaptive assessment too, so it matches, it's more for meeting them instructionally and then make instructional decisions based on their data.
definitely some work we need to do there. And again, for a time here, we weren't utilizing our instructional coaches in reading or math at the 7-12. We've changed that. They're back working in those buildings, started this year, meeting with PLCs and working to help support them in that effort. So again, hopeful that'll have an impact there as well. Students participating in extracurricular activities and clubs, and then college visits. You remember, Mr. Sussman shared throughout his updates this year that we took them to Simpson and DMAC.
Yep.
In the junior high, so we got kids on college campuses. Daily attendance, 91%. Students with less than 1 out of school suspension. The Husky Ready course was taught 7th grade, 98%. The career fair, that mini career fair that we offered, those are students who were present that day and participated. And the individual plan, so the components that are specific to 7th and 8th grade, 100% completed those. And then community service, so they did the activity at the historical complex and then PAML this year. So that's where they were able to hit those indicators. And then high school. So there. Again, students are going to steer better in Algebra 2. Algebra 2 is kind of the math class that they need to take and pass in order to be college ready. So those are of that class. Does that make sense? So it's not a cumulative. So 10th graders, 61%, 11th, 7%, and 12th, 24%. 0 9th graders say aren't taking it. Dual credit English comp. So 11th graders, if they're in the class, 99% passed. The math classes, so that'll be calc, pre-calc. Stats is probably included in that as well.
Yep.
The college visit, 11th grade. And then the FAFSA, 47.26. FAFSA was something unique this year. If you caught any wind of that, they changed that program, which caused a lot of headache for families, and negatively impacting some families as well. They went to a new online system that wasn't very good. Students who turned their stuff in and didn't get their awards back in time for scholarships and things like that. So kind of a real mess up on FAFSA that negatively impacted our kids. And then percent daily attendance, again, suspensions, the ICAP, completing that in Zello. The workplace learning experience, and then the comprehensive career fair that we offer at the high school. And then also looking at the community service class, completing those as well. Questions on kind of those first attempts for us this year and putting it together?
I have a question on the Algebra 2.
Yeah.
Just help my brain understand. So 24% of the 12th graders, that was 24% of the, how many 12th graders, because not all 12th graders
Yeah.
taking it. So what's the data pool, I guess, is what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Is it 10 kids?
I'm
Is
not
it
sure what
12
Cam
kids?
pulled
Is
from
it-
that. No, I think it would be
Because some of those kids would have taken it as a sophomore or
junior, yeah,
junior.
sophomore, junior, right? So
That
they
number
looked
should-
at a number of kids that were seniors that took it this year. I believe is how I pulled it.
But okay,
I'll have to double check. Yeah.
that's all I have.
Yeah, I kind of had the same question.
And just what is the end value? What is the pool?
I believe it's looking at this grade level this year and how many of the seniors, so that'd be of the seniors who took it as a senior, how many of them passed with a C or better?
And then Algebra 2 must not be available to freshmen because
No,
they need to take geometry.
they are. So my daughter would be on the fast track. Yes, took geometry as a freshman. She'll take it as a sophomore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else for Mr. Gross on this? This is good data to have on hand and.
We got better examples when we were out in DC of people a little farther along, so we'll try to enhance as we go.
Anything else? Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda. Start with the minutes from the June 10th meeting. Anybody have any changes or updates to that? Okay. Paid bills and invoices, Cammy.
Just wanted to bring a couple things to your attention. On the very first page, as you go down, Frontline Technology Software for $8,769. You saw Frontline also coming out of PEPAL. Remember, our non-instructional software can come out of PEPAL and protect the general fund. So I looked this one up, and this is really just a coding error, so I have moved it over to PEPAL. Okay, that is I think that's our applicant tracking piece that got coded to the general fund. You'll see a lot of tuition bills, everybody's closing out their year. We don't even have the special education bills in yet, so we've got a lot more of those coming. That Paradigm Cyber Ventures is a new one for you. Of that 45,000, 30,000 is gonna go to, because it includes all the PD and onboarding for the new cyber curriculum, that new course. So 30K is going to go to PD, and the 15 remaining will go to curriculum. And then when you get down to 22, that's all of our insurance renewals. That's the gas pool, that's work comp. Then when you go into save, remember that's usually reflected on our 5-year facility plan, except for the amount that Ray gets to spend. And so that is the junior high chillin project that you've approved prior. And then when we get to PEPAL, there's all of our new software renewals. There's our Infinite Campus and our accounting software and our Frontline. Nutrition is mostly refunds. We have some scholarship payouts. Remember, that's just a trust fund for us. It's not really district funds. And then we have activity. Questions for me? In the Amazon that's in the red. That we got credit. Credit, That okay. it's probably on a credit card. Okay. We have to pay that. If it's on a credit card, we pay it up front and we dispute it immediately. And then we set that up as a receivable. Either they owe us a product or they owe us a credit. And this was credit.
Any other questions for Cammy?
I assume the lunch refunds are just seniors that.
It would be seniors, it would be families who's moved out of their
Okay.
district.
But
But it is-
what would happen if I left.
Sometimes it stays, there's some it just stays.
Sometimes they're always given, seniors, they all get notified and they always have the offer. The offer to just donate it to the donation fund. And if it's very small, lots of times they'll do that.
Yeah.
But yes, sometimes they'll put a big amount on at the beginning of the year. And their student isn't eating lunches often, and they might request that refund just for the reason of cash flow. So, but typically at this time of year, that student is not coming back.
I never have money left over.
So the Van Manen technology.
And Bobbin.
Okay. It's just,
Van Manen bought out Summit
Summit.
Technologies.
okay,
So Travis, and they're doing a lot of work in the district right now, all of our safety grant, they're doing a lot of that business for us.
Is that what-
Van Manen, Gina asked a question about Van Manen. Summit Technologies, who's done most of our technology, was bought out by Van Manen. And they're doing the work around our safety grant that we're trying to get wrapped up this summer, so.
Don't
That's
you remember Van Manen as our auditor too?
yeah, I was
Did
like,
it just ring a bell?
Yeah.
We use our auditor for our financials usually out of Pella.
Yeah.
Van Manen, different Van Manen.
Anything else on financials?
Take those.
Sorry, paid bills. Anything else on paid bills? Okay, personnel report as presented there.
We're gonna pull.
You're gonna pull that out, weren't
Yep.
you? Okay.
Oh, that's right, sorry, yeah. We can look at it now if you want to, but there's. No, that's not gonna go over well. She's at the middle school. Open enrollment, Cammy has that presented for us. There are,
So glad I printed it out.
oh, did you print out your whole packet? Good.
Pieces of it. We'll get to some that I don't have. There are 3 open enrolls in for the board to take action on. One is for activities only, and the other 2 is an 8th and a 10th grade for East Union. These are all gen ed classes where there is space available.
Question for you, did they get anything changed about the timeline for open enrollment? Did it go back to March 1st, starting now?
Starting now.
Yeah,
So the open enrollment just back and forth willy-nilly is
I think all districts need to be just a little bit,
flexible for a year till we get
Yeah.
back in the system, okay?
because nobody really knew there was a deadline
Right,
until they passed it and the deadline already passed.
Correct.
So it's,
Weren't there 2 dates I saw?
So,
March first is for everybody, and then September first is for kindergartners.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. I just. Thank you for the clarification.
kind of the advice we got is some parents got caught in the midst.
Be flexible.
Yeah, and some of these, the district reached out and said, we're okay. The resident district contacted, say, didn't know wasn't aware of the deadline. Good students, good standing, we're okay with it, so that's part of it too.
Okay. Financial report, Tammy.
Financial report I don't have.
I can pull them
I
up
did
here.
not print those off.
Which one do you want me to pull up first?
If you look at the statement of position, it looks different to you this month because there are a lot of accounts that you don't normally see. We bring all of next year's taxes and we bring them back. Typically, we operate on a cash basis. And now because we're closing the year, it's a modified accrual basis. So there's a lot of accruals. Now it's no longer when we receive the service or when the merchandise hit the dock. Now it's, it's, yes, we received the service, but we're gonna pull that bill back. All the salaries, all the teacher salaries for July and August, that's part of the 24 contract. Those got expensed back. So you've got salaries and benefits payable. You're gonna see a lot of prepaids that are growing, things that we paid up front and we had to pull them back. No, they wanted payment for 25, they would not wait, so you pay them up front as a prepaid, and then you reclass them at the new year. The taxes are in, we're still waiting for a lot of pieces, we don't have any of the special ed expenses. We're waiting for July taxes to come in, those have to be approved. But all in all, I did highlight a few things, I can't even
What do you mean to blow up here?
get that far. I can see it really well over here. I just highlighted some things on the bottom there. If you have any questions as to what they are. I know nutrition is actually correct now. Remember, we only update that once a year. We keep an eye on it. But as far as the financials go, it's a year-end entry. But the financials are in place, so you can see that our negative accounts are up there in the receivables, they're in the green. And then our positive lunch accounts are down below, that is deferred. And we do have donation funds that exceed the amount of our negative accounts at this time, so we're in good shape. Our families have done a really good job, our community has done a good job with donations, but we're in good shape. Debt service, that fiscal agent, that pale blue, remember that's two things now. Up to this point, it's just been those bonds that we collected, but they're not yet callable, so that was with UMB Bank. But now there was also a revenue bond payment due on July 1, but they pull it June 27. So rather than booking that expense when it's not our expense in the right year, it is just cash with the fiscal agent for 3 whole days. And then it becomes an expense to us on the 1st of July. So that's made up of a couple things. Let's go ahead and look at revenues, expenses, and they aren't going to mean anything to you at this point. Because there's so many more expenses to come in for the month of June that, it shows that we're way under on expenditures. Well, I don't know if that's exactly where we'll stand. I will be slightly over, but we're so much further over in revenue. But the revenues continue to roll in too. Look at it. If you have any questions, let me know. But remember, these are extremely preliminary and you'll see this same document again next in July. And then you'll see it again, much closer to a final document in August. And then the auditors will be on site in August. So by the time you get to September, you'll have an audited June financial, as well as you've seen July and you've seen August, and then you'll have a current September.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is the odd time, you look at things now, you're just like, this doesn't make, Cammy does a great job explaining it all.
And July
In another
was
2 months as
really
well.
funky, because you'll have negative revenues because you've accrued everything and you've reversed it all, but you might not have received it all. So July looks funky, August starts to take shape, and once we hit September, everything's normal again.
We will.
Yeah. This year.
Gonna make me sad soon.
I don't know.
Contracts and agreements, site improvement Oh, sorry, any other questions on the financial statements? Okay. Site improvement agreement with Winterset Dental.
Yeah, so this is an updated improvement, site improvement agreement. You remember we went back and forth there for a little bit. He was wanting to do a lot more site improvements. And I think he scaled it back to just do what he needs to do for his current building. No interest to sign the first right of refusal at this time. Not that he's looking for another seller or buyer. If and when he chooses to sell, but still unclear if he's going to part ways with the building or not. Sees as an asset that he may want to hang on to, which is his right. So he has said to reach out towards the beginning of the year. We'll reach out at the beginning of the year and see again, no long-term plans, but that's where that sits. But this is an updated agreement so we can move forward. It's been through review by attorney before it went to him. I'd say that you approve it and sign it, so.
And it's just like the parking lot around, is that right?
So it's over here on the side. You see they already cut the curb,
Okay.
right? And there'll be the drive goes up and he'll put parking on that side. I don't think he intends to touch the parking
Okay.
back here anymore.
Okay,
He's just gonna stick to that over there currently, so.
Any other questions on that? Okay. That is it for the consent agenda. So I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda minus the personnel report as presented.
So
Motion by Malcolm, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Emily. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now I would entertain a motion to accept the personnel report as presented.
so
Is there a second?
second.
Motion by Malcolm, second by Gina. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And I will abstain.
Okay,
I want to comment on there, hope you caught it. We did find a fifth grade replacement. You did approve the resignation contingent upon replacement last month. We did find one, so that's the only comment I had for you.
All right, old business, second reading of board policy 605.06E3.
Yeah, so we actually made this change, we discussed this back in April or maybe March, and then forgot to get back for second reading. It just adjusted our social media topic. Jane caught it, and so we just need to have second reading and get it approved. Kami and I both let that one slip through the cracks. Apologize.
I would entertain a motion to accept the second reading of board policy 605.06E3.
So moved.
Motion by Sam, is there a second?
Second.
Oh,
one.
gonna give to Gina, second by Gina. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. New business. First item is to appoint to fill the vacancy. So how this works is just like when we go into nominations, correct, Cami, just if I'm wrong, we're looking for a board member. You all have the same information. Somebody will make a nomination. Do we need to second it, Cami?
yes, you should.
And then, and if there's more than one, we will take votes as well. So it's open. I will open the floor to nominations.
I nominate Julie Knobloch. Thank you guys all for stepping up to the plate. It's very much appreciated. I would encourage all of you, if you have interest, to continue to pursue that. In fall of 25, there actually will be an election. From a expediency standpoint, it's just, to me, it's a no-brainer that Julie's been here. She's done this job for 4 years. She understands like the inner workings of it. We have 2 brand new board members already right now, so adding a third one on top of that. Not that it would be a hindrance, but for the sake of like fluency and ability to do the job without having to onboard somebody else. That's my stance, I guess.
Is there a second? Can I second? I will second that. Is there any other nominations?
I would love to nominate Tim Mose. I've known Tim for, I don't know, since I was 14, probably. I think that his lifetime commitment to education kind of speaks for itself and what his passion is. And I like that he has taught and been in a classroom and worked with students his whole life. And I just think he would offer a really great perspective to the board.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Any other nominations? Do I have to ask twice, 3 times?
You may close the floor to nominations if there aren't any.
If there are no other nominations, I will close nominations. So we have a ballot for, not a ballot, a nomination for Julie Knobloch and a nomination for Tim Mose. Do you just want to call the roll and we'll just vote?
Let's do that.
Is that easy? Is that,
You bet.
okay?
I don't have my little computer up, so I'm gonna write these down. Samantha,
I just say the name of the most.
Gina,
I'll vote for Tim Mose.
Jared,
Julie Knobloch.
Malcolm,
Julie Knobloch.
Emily.
Congratulations, Mr. Mose. We will, and we will seat that in at the August meeting.
Swear you in at the August meeting, at the beginning of the meeting,
Okay. It'll be August 12th.
12th, August
Yeah,
12th.
12th at 5 PM.
And thank
So-
you all.
Yeah,
for
thank you all.
Thank you.
All of you. It's very rewarding. Please. Like Jared said,
Yeah. There'll be 3 seats in next fall.
yep,
So,
Keep that in mind.
yeah. And stay involved. There's different ways to get involved with, Superintendent Gross has a parent advisory council and there's, PTO and the SIAC council and all sorts of things. And you're always welcome to join us at 5 PM on the second Monday of the month.
always.
It's riveting every Monday. So thank you all for that.
My short
Do we need-
experience- I was gonna say, in my short
Yep.
experience, I've enjoyed it and I'm sad to go, so.
Should Debbie leave?
We want to have you on board as a tech teacher.
Does that count as our motion and our approval and everything? We don't need to ratify that or,
No,
okay,
That's a
perfect,
full vote.
Okay.
The board took action.
perfect. I just want to make sure we did everything we were supposed to do. Okay. District to develop service delivery plan.
Yeah, so every 5 years, as a district, you are required to pull a committee together and review your service delivery plan when it comes to special education. So this past year, Kendra led a group across the district that did just that. And I'll let her go through it, but what we have is kind of the results of that planning and an update to the plan that we'll ask that you approve. So go ahead, Kendra.
Okay, so yeah, you have a copy of the plan. I will say there's 5 questions that have been there forever and it can get pretty stale and stagnant. The committee, we tried to just make it more user-friendly and applicable to the work we're doing every day. So I'll just draw your attention a few places. On page 6, we made a graphic that just kind of helps explain the continuum of services. That goes from least restrictive to most restrictive. And we found that helpful, when talking to parents, when we may need to move to a more restrictive setting. So they can kind of see, okay, this is where we are now. We could even get more restrictive, but we hope to stay less restrictive. We also added on page 7 and 8, each service model and then the responsibilities of the gen ed teacher and the special ed teacher. Just to kind of, make it user friendly and lay out expectations. And there were on the committee, gen ed teachers, special ed teachers, parents, administrators. So we got input from all parties on that. Probably the biggest thing that will have the most impact is on page 11. This is our new matrix. I will say, we're never happy, shocking, with me leading the way. But we've done it where we were on a matrix before, and it's very complicated to weigh your roster, how many kids you have at each weighting, how many Medicaid, all the little intricacies. And then so we moved away from that and went to just the state weighting that doesn't take into effect all the other things special education teachers do. So we've been doing that for 5 years. And then they're like, but that doesn't reflect what we do. So now we've moved back to our own matrix. And so teachers will fill this out quarterly. And this is how we will monitor rosters. And I will meet with special ed teachers, a team of them, the last day of every quarter to kind of calibrate where our numbers are and where our scores are. Just because it's a new matrix that we don't really have the data from it yet. So that's what we're doing on that. Any questions?
So where does this document live? Is this accessible to the public via our website, or do they have to contact you? And then is this shared with every students that have like I mean, is this something that is provided?
Yeah, it's on our website, under special education. It's on the intranet as well. I will say in the past, I haven't used it a ton with teachers or with parents, but we're trying to make it more user friendly and applicable to the work we're doing. So yeah, I definitely see it hopefully being used more widely.
I'm just trying to remember when I saw it 5 years ago. Gotta be the only one, right? Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I just didn't know how we use it or where it lives, so if somebody's looking for this.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we're required to have it on our school website.
Okay. Any other questions? Good work. I like the table with all the duty. That's really nice and a quick glance.
Thank you for your hard work, Kendra.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we do need to approve this. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the district developed service delivery plan as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Gina, second by Malcolm. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, guys, next is the fun part, the first reading of board policy updates based on the 2024 legislative changes. Hopefully you all read through those. There was a handful.
Yeah, so 57-page primer came out. Lots of changes with the new legislation. So they've been reflected in board policy. I gave you the updates at a glance, kind of the overview, and then the draft policies that reflect those changes. So questions? I guess I'll start with questions you have on any that we can dive into.
I had a question on, I think it's the very first one, the chronic absenteeism insurancy.
Yeah, so the state defined, sorry, go ahead.
Just down in section 2, the first sentence, students are required to be in attendance pursuant to board policy 4 days per school year. There's no,
Did that one get missed?
Number
Something
or-
it did. Where you at?
section 2. It's the very first sentence. Right there, good. This is 4 days per school year.
Yeah, for the days per school year unless the absences have been excused by the principal. But there was no blank. This came directly from her.
Okay.
It does read weird.
And if you had a defined number of days and your calendar changed, you'd have to go back and amend board policy.
Oh, so there is a part where we had to spell it out, because we went through, it's not in this one though. Because you had to go term or year, so.
Wasn't it like a percentage of the term?
It's the 10% of a
Yeah,
Was
quarter
find the one.
or term. I think it's that one. I think it's the 50103.
45 days.
There.
Yep, it's at the very beginning of this one because we had to say hours and then I think we had to do 10% of it.
So it says we certify in 10,080 hours, so that's what that's for. And then also added it.
Yeah, that's, yeah, because that's the amount of hours we require to go, what is your calendars an hour?
Yeah, so in this one, truancy means the child's school attendance 20% of the days in the term. Where's the other one at, Corey?
And there's one other one we looked at,
Yeah,
the regulation.
that's what I read.
If we approve the other one that has the hours, this just refers to that.
Because it's a regulation of the policy.
Yeah, if a student is absent for the school for at least 15% of the days or hours within the grading period, the school official attempt. So that's in school engagement meeting.
Yeah.
We had discussion too. Difference in our buildings between junior high to high school, like 7, 12 and K6 and how we track it. Versus a tardy versus an absence, does that make sense? And so that's why we wrote in here, like in the 50% of the days or hours. Because at the high school, they're tracking if you're gone. So you miss first block every day. They had a student that missed first block every day. Right? So that hours over a term would add up to be more than that, and we could count them as chronically absent, which they're missing a quarter of their classes, at a term. So we left that in that so they could use days or hours, or at the elementary, they're not tracking every hour, they're tracking it on a day, on a daily basis. So it allows them then to report to a parent that way, get the support they needed to get kids to school. So that was the discussion. We wrote it in that way, but 1080 is code. So that's why it's in there. But I agree that sentence doesn't read great, but that was what Siobhan sent us.
Missing just the days of, or,
Yeah.
because I'm afraid.
So she left us like blanks that we had to fill in. That wasn't.
Yeah,
one.
usually she does really good putting a
Yeah.
line and italics, parentheses saying.
But I
put
agree
something
in reading
there.
that doesn't read great.
Any other ones to look at or questions? A lot of them, there's not a lot of, there are policies we can do with as we want, but they're pretty,
You can't serve mystery meat. I mean,
there's not a lot when they have a
That's my
House file
favorite.
with them or a Senate file with them,
can't
there's
serve
not
mystery
much.
meat.
Right, is it? Two, just let it be.
We're always able to. I will tell you, I don't know the percentage of the districts in the state that use IASB's policy primer, but it's a large number.
Okay,
So
that's
that
what I
way- yeah,
assumed.
so that
this
way,
is just something.
If you weren't like, so if we weren't using like ISB for their guidance on it, then you would need to be running these through an attorney.
Okay. That's
To get the legal compliance. And so I tend to rely on them and then just make changes where they advise or that you're allowed to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like the weapons in school district and conversations we had, with the board, that there was no desire to move down the path of arming staff. That was an option. We pulled that out in the draft. She said choose one or the other based on what my initial discussions individually with each one of you kind of indicated that wasn't a path you wanted to go down, so we didn't include that language in board policy, but there was some discretion in that policy, Emily, if boards wanted to. The law would allow it now, so.
Anything else, guys?
I don't remember there being any other.
There was a lot to read through on this
Yeah.
one.
It's a pretty quick turnaround too.
Yeah, from end of,
Into June to now,
yeah,
and some of them need to be in place before the start of the school year.
Malcolm, Emily?
Nope.
Okay, that's good. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the first reading of board policies updated based on the 2024 legislative changes as presented. I'm not gonna read all those numbers. Cammie has them all at her fingertips. Well, not at her fingertips, but. So I entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Gina, is there a second?
second.
Second by Emily. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next up is first reading of new board policies based on the federal Title IX changes.
Yeah, so about the same time, so the Title IX law was, we've been getting updates forever that's going to change. It finally changed, it was released, and so ISB put together some policies. The state is filed suit contesting it against the DE, and it's actually seeking an injunction. There was a training on Title IX that Allers put on the day that Corey and I were both gone. One of us was in DC, he was in a training for PBL. We're waiting to get that recording. The advice from Sean was to seek out your own legal counsel on which best way to proceed. Have first reading and then decide whether or not you want to have second reading or not, so that you could have them in place. She said that the intent of the is that they'll start holding schools accountable August 1st. So once Corey and I have a chance to watch the title, my guess is, knowing Allers, they're going to side on federal. That would be my guess, but I don't know. So the nutshell, what would run into play? So Iowa passed a few laws last year. The bathroom, for example, would be one that's in direct violation of federal law. The transgender sports one would be one that will be in violation of federal law, would be my guess. So we'll have first reading. We'll seek some guidance from the attorney, and we'll see what this board wants to do moving forward. And that's what I can give you right now. So questions, I mean, we're in kind of that, Iowa's 8 of 9 states in our, what's the
region.
Yes. That has filed suit. So the only one that did not was Minnesota or Michigan. I can't remember one of those two. Didn't sign on to the lawsuit. So that's where it sits.
And that will all be done before August 1st.
What will be done? The suit, I have no idea if they'll settle the suit. We'll have a chance to review the Allers video and what their guidance is, and I can provide that to you prior to that time. Yeah.
Because they'll go through what the updates are. We've done some preliminary looking. A lot of the updates were the procedural things, and then there's some language changes and things like that too, how people are referred to and pronoun things and things like that. But it's really and then there's the guidance that comes along with it. So it's a lot of procedural things as well. That was updated.
Yeah, this is actually when Shalon went through policies with, those who joined the webinar. She said this is rare for us to leave both sets of policies. Usually we'd rescind old policy, and we didn't. We kept them both. There was 106, which was old Title IX, and now 106.1. She said because of where it sits legally. So it advises you can't have both, though, on your books.
So in August, we'll have to make the decision of which set we can go with.
Yeah, you can take no action on a second reading if we get.
But
and
if
you'll stay
they
with the
start
old
holding people
106.
accountable August 1st.
Then you'd want, I'm guessing 106.1 would be what they would say to have in place, but you're talking about federal versus state, and who do you want to be in trouble with? If you're.
That was my.
I don't want to be in trouble with either.
If you're taken to task, yeah.
So, but at least if we approve these on a first reading, they go into be able to be enacted next month.
One more reading puts them in practice.
Or next month, or September, or October, or November, or whenever, or we can still be using our current ones in place as well. But not use these.
Current one maintains until you would.
Till we approve
you
the
would
second.
approve
that
the second
supersedes
reading
them.
of these. The 106 would stay there. Similar for those on board, like Malcolm and Jerry remember, if you remember, we did remember the vaccination and the medical exemption and all that with COVID. Remember that set of policies that we had first reading, and it was in the same boat, right? There was lawsuit filed. We did a first reading. They ended up settling the lawsuit. We did nothing else, and they just never went anywhere. They just sat there. So you two would remember that, but the others we may not. Yeah.
Now, could we not approve a first reading tonight and just approve them on their first reading as a first and second reading when we need to take action on them? And suspend the first reading and just approve them on suspend the second reading and just approve them on the first later date?
You can, I think in full discourse, then you need to have a review of the policies within another review within, is it 6 months or
I
3
think
months?
we'd have
or
to make sure we look at them again.
Within a 3, or I think it's 3, I can't remember if it's 3 or 6 months, but it's been a relatively short time from you
I
bringing it
mean,
back.
I don't like doing that. I mean, I don't like suspending the rules and doing that, but I mean, if I'm just, well, just so that way we don't take any action on this tonight. We don't do anything, that they're not, even first reading's not done. It's just, we're staying with our original 106. And then August, September, October, when the dust settles on whatever's going on. If we need to move forward with becoming in line with the federal, with those, we can suspend the second reading and just approve it on our first at that time. And then
You
put on our,
could, and
and
we
put them on
just-
our calendar
then we
to
just circle back with
review
in
March,
whatever
September,
months,
March,
whatever we have
April,
to.
whatever, yeah.
Corey,
I was
so-
just thinking of a way not. It's a very weird place to be in when you have policies coming from one, yeah.
You could do that. We were hoping to get the recording here shortly. We signed up.
We're supposed to get it this week for a training.
Um,
We didn't get it today, but it should come this week for a training when we can monitor the training.
Watch it.
Whatever appetite you guys want for it as well, I mean, it's.
I would rather go with your plan,
Just sit and wait.
to just leave it as it is now. We'll revisit it. Maybe the lawsuit will have made some progress by next month and we'll have a better general idea of what direction things are going.
Definitely an option you could take.
I agree, maybe wait for some.
I think, yeah, guidance coming from Allers and who knows what else is gonna come out from DE and state and.
It's a 9 hour, it's an all day training. So we're going to have to schedule a day to sit and watch a Zoom. Hopefully we can speed through it, but I'll try and give you,
Watch on 1.5.
try to give you the cliff notes and maybe
See
send
what,
the
yeah, we'll do
PowerPoint
updates on
if I can.
procedures, reporting procedures, those types of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just on these new ones.
Yes.
But theirs is on Title 9. The lawsuit is contesting the federal D's Title 9 updates.
Okay.
They're trying to seek an injunction against them. Because our state has passed laws that are in direct violation of what the new law says, so.
So what I'm hearing, consensus is we wanna table this. Due to needing for more information and updates
yeah.
from attorneys.
I will try and get to you as soon as I can, and yeah, you
That
get,
sounds
then if
good.
you do the single reading and we would just have to bring it
Okay.
back.
Let's go with that. Okay, Cam, did you get that?
Yep.
I'm used to hearing you type it in and I didn't.
No,
Nope, when we lay it on the table, it can just go on the table. Next up is board policy 401.07, employee travel compensation.
This will be an example. So we had the discussion around handbooks, and it got changed in handbooks, and then going back through where policies I caught that it didn't get caught in board policy. So if you remember, we updated the handbook for travel expenses out of state, just to reflect the inflation and the cost of when you're away from home trying to eat in a day, which Gina can attest to. Yeah, $35 can't feed you for a day if you're outside of the state. So
Roller hot dogs, and
Yeah, that'd be about
But you had a
it.
middle seat too. So you had
Yeah.
that for you too.
that's what this is for, and we could bring it back again later in the fall to be in compliance with the update, so.
so we need to have approve a first reading of this. Correct, Cammy? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve first reading of the update to board policy 401.07, employee travel compensation.
So
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Malcolm, second by Sam. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Next up is initial discussion of IASB legislative priorities.
Yeah, I can't believe we're doing this already. Seems like we just got through at the last
Just
legislative
did it.
session, but ISB asked for these in August. So usually what we've typically done is give them to you in July. Put them on your radar, give you a chance to start looking at them. And then we come back in August with what they want to be, if I remember correctly, Jared. That's kind of how we've ran in the past. So if you wanted to approve them now, you can have discussion, but this is a chance for you as a board to have some initial discussion, ask questions. We just need to, if we want to be included in what ISB's platform, we have to fill the survey out after our August board meeting. So,
So for the three new ones, this is what IASB does is we send this out to all districts in the state. Everybody submits it, or not everybody, but majority submit. And then we rank these and we will then use those to drive our legislative priorities for the coming year. You know, every district gets, I think they ask you to submit three to four, no more than four. Some districts submit a lot more than that, some submit one or two. And it just helps, IASB helps us guide our lobbyists and our legal crew in where the membership, which is the state school boards, where they want to see us put our time and energy. Traditionally, it falls usually on early childhood development and education, special ed deficits, dropout risk prevention,
adequate funding.
and the adequate funding. Those are kind of tend to be the same ones that get thrown in there, but they throw a wide variety. It's called the LRC, the Legal Resource Committee, internally, and they sit down and draft all of these optional ones and potential ones and listen to other districts and add different ones. So it's a big, long packet, peruse it, bring your like three you're ready to discuss. If you have any questions now, we can discuss it, or just bring those to the next one. And then Justin will submit those to IASB.
Yeah, so Jared's got, and what I provided was the last year's, and then there's also a link to the ISB website with their FAQ around it, so.
If you have any questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you with it, or discuss it with you, but usually we kind of sit down and we all say this, and we come to terms, and Justin takes it and submits it, so.
This just puts on your radar.
Any questions on those? Anybody want to throw three out tonight, or you want to look at it more? And anybody look at it yet? Well, okay. I have not. I printed them. That's all I've done.
I thought it was interesting that the AAA has always been in there, or is that just
We have-
because it's,
We've always tried to maintain that support and relationship with the AEAs.
I just wondered if that was different because of.
I think it's going to be a higher priority than what we've had in the past from some districts in the state.
Okay.
Okay, let me know if you have any questions. That is it for action items. Board member reports. We'll start with Emily. Anything?
Nope.
Malcolm? Nothing. I have nothing. I've been MIA. Gina?
I was lucky enough to attend Washington DC, the learning conference, and the portrait of a graduate and all of that. There was a part, and I have not dive, whichever word it should be, into it more, but they also had one for a school board. One of the districts talked about a portrait, like a matrix for a school board to make sure we're doing the same things that all the kids are doing, you know, holding ourselves accountable. And I thought we should look more at that. And
Was it Mansfield? Because,
I think so.
so I pulled up theirs before. I went there today after you said that, because I had saved it. And I saw the ones for all the students.
So,
But not that they didn't,
Yep.
but this is the link I had for the, for that one, but go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt.
that. And I just thought it was very interesting for us to be being accountable. Really interesting work that some districts all over are doing with Portrait of a Graduate, and it brings it all definitely more, oh, that's why we have this. That's why we're doing all this. All the different opportunities from the one that I went to, a West Virginia school that's on the rural, but they're giving all their kids opportunities, you know, of work related, college related, and they're making it work with just businesses in their town. Just super.
I'm glad you went.
Yeah.
Really, yeah, I am glad you went, yeah.
I didn't like getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to come home.
Saved us money.
In a minute, yeah.
Saving us money.
In
We're flying.
the middle.
You're welcome.
Oh.
All of us.
All of us had no rush.
We're so Corey.
You're welcome.
We've been-
Economy flights.
Kendra goes, we'd be first class.
It's not a fine thing.
Yeah, it was. But very interesting.
Sam?
I was just going to say that I would encourage everyone to go to the fair next week, our county fair. Because our kids in our community,
Mhm.
put a lot of work into the things that they do at the fair, and it'd be great to encourage that and to see familiar faces there, and it's pretty neat to see, and it's like the static exhibits that they do, you have like little first graders all the way up that have to sit down and have a conversation with an adult and explain what they did through their project, and, it's great, real world experience for all those kiddos. It's pretty cool.
And it's fun to see, it's fun to see things that kids have done at school,
Yeah.
they use as a
Yes.
fair exhibit.
Yes.
So anything they've done in art or even presentations they've done junior high, high school level, they can re-enter those as static exhibits at the fair level,
Jared's
so.
an expert at like
Don't say that.
anything into a project, Jared's here, I would help you out, but it's really cool to see the variety of the things, the talents that are, so.
And there's open classes for all the adults as well, so you all can submit things as well. And I just want clarification before I jump to you. Does Sam need to come next month to close like we do? No, okay. So thank you. I will add thank you for your short service and a very impactful service. And thank you, as Tammy said, for the role you're taking on in the district. We're glad to have you.
You start in 2 weeks, so.
So
We can let her in the week, but it's good.
after fair, good luck. All right, Mr. Gross.
Yeah, a couple things. So the junior high chiller project that we talked about, they can never go as planned.
It keeps on giving.
So, yeah, the hole that they need for the equipment to fit in and the roof is not big enough. Apparently, according to Ray, they went off plans and the plans weren't what was actually done. So we had to get a bid to make the hole bigger, which required some steel work to take the sport beam out, put it back in to the tune of almost $24,000. I approved it to keep that project going, to try and get it done by the time school starts. So that's an update on that. Auditorium lighting. So John Barrett reached out to me and Cam and I and Ray and Nick met with him in Meredith last week. And so I think the auditorium was a 1992, is that right? 92 build? Anyway.
495, maybe 90.
He specced in 92, and he pointed out, and I had been on the stage, it's running at about 50% capacity lighting. And if you look up, you can see where there's plugins hanging where lights should be. And it took me where like lights go to die, which is on the staircase underneath them, like why are we keeping them? But we do. They're all piled there. They're running about 50% capacity. To the point that they see they can't run a show. I didn't realize this last year. They reached out to Simpson and borrowed lights from Simpson to put on a show. He had somebody quote him to get back to just the 92 spec, right? So going back to get back to what it was, about $100,000. As we've talked about, came here meeting tomorrow. That to me on the next line of projects for the district would be very near the top is what do we do to the auditorium to renovate that space? So I think 27, 28 school year would be when bonding capacity would be at a point to maybe address that building. Reluctant to put that much money into it. However, I understand that they need to be able to run a show. I want that to be as nice as any facility we have. I mean, our kids have great facilities, so they're gonna look at what it would cost to get the show. We also talked about, because we're going to LED lights, will that work in the power box we have and how power's run? Plugins from all that fun stuff. So he's gonna get a quote to actually address that, and then we'll probably do something and asked him to make sure that if we got anything that could be transferred over, great. But again, I think we would update everything in that space at that time. But I didn't realize you look up and there's just, they're missing a ton of lights in that facility. So we'll try and do something to get them to where they can produce a show and it's a quality show and also not invest money that could be lost in a few years. So just want to give an update on that. I don't doubt that there needs to be something done there. Future Focus School Conference that Gina mentioned, yeah, so I pulled up Mansfield was one that resonated. So if you look at, I'll just pull up what they've done for scorecards for their kids. They talk about, life readiness, they have attendance, what they spelled out, they have digital responsibility, and then the Zello lessons all the way out. So they've mapped it out what they're going to do. K-12, the career readiness, identify a career, earn an industry certificate, complete CT sequence, US Armed Forces. So they've spelled that out, and then at the middle is what grade level. And then timeline for activity, and then teacher directed. And you'll see Zello's in there a lot, or a Skyward, which must be the platform they're using to monitor it. But that's one example of a district who's further down has really spelled it out and pulled together a dashboard. So that was one that, and when Gina said they have a board one too, you thought?
I think it might be a school in Texas. Oh, that was the one in Texas. Mansfield is in
Mansfield, yeah.
Texas, yeah.
I'll keep digging. I found, this was a link that they shared in the one I was in, so I was able to access that. The other one that is Epharta School District. So this is the rubric that they've developed when they look at life ready indicators. So they've developed this for life ready. They have owning, applying, understanding, and recognizing. And again, they've spelled it out. And then the other thing I want to share with them that I thought was were cornerstone projects. Where's that? Right here. So the cornerstone projects, so they have projects that are like year long that build in their life ready. And so one for third grade is, why is water important to our world? So those kids worked, and apparently where they're located, they have a lot of like freshwater resources and worried about pollution and those kind of things. So this kids, as part of their academic year, they address this essential question: why is water important? And then they have the life ready indicators that they're going to, which would be like their profile of a graduate, the adaptability, flexibility, collaboration, teamwork, resilience, great empathy, and then they have some student reflection. So they've identified those at different grade levels. Grade 5 is Mount, they're the Mountaineers, run the town. How will my future job choice help me connect with the community? So they do an exploration of their community. What does that mean for me? What jobs are there available for me? They do a Biz Town, which our kids go to. But it's cross-curricular, builds in those skills. And there's no, and then the who am I? Where do I fit in our community is their 9th grade project. So just a couple examples of districts that we saw that I thought were further down the road, have it pretty well spelled out. One thing that we talked about a lot is, I think we have a lot of things that we're doing in place. We had a really good year with some authentic learning. Why Winterset project was a pretty good example. The coin drive at the elementary that they donated then, and that whole process. So just how do we expand on those and really tie it back to these profile of a graduate, or some of the things. A couple other things they shared is just AI and where that's going. I think I mentioned the book that a lot of our admin team's reading right now, The Anxious Generation. He quoted that. I mean, and the 12th graders who are graduating who don't have a driver's license, who have never gone on their first date, who've never had a part-time job. And just tying back to from a child-based, play-based childhood to a screen-based childhood. And we're seeing it in Iowa, but I think this conversation around cell phones in our district is something we have to get more serious about. And do we restrict them and just take them away? And what does that look like? So that'll probably be a big conversation we take on in the district this year is, when you read the book and the data, it's pretty astounding, the negative impact it's having on especially preteen girls. Anxiety and depression. They talked about that a little bit. But then the world of,
A lot of school districts that were there, they were either reading it or had read it.
yeah.
That was a
Absolutely, I agree. And then caveat to that, but this AI and where it's going, so Khan Academy, which if you've been around education for a while, is something that's a tutoring resource. It has Conmigo now, which is AI powered. It's like having your personalized tutor. The crazy thing, they showed videos of it, like it interacts with your voice, with written in the video. So it watches what you're doing on a video and knows the actions you're taking on a video and is giving you like tutoring as you go. Showed an example of them working a math problem, and as the kids are making changes, it's asking questions of the student to help them get the right answer. And Gina said it was So again, I think we're in a pretty good spot with our group that we put in place and some of the policies we've done and giving our teachers tools. But it's just exponentially growing. There were some benefits to that stuff that I saw for kids and the tutoring it would provide, and there are some red flags for sure.
Mhm.
So, but there are schools that are a lot farther along us. They gave us some tools. Give us an idea what it can look like. So I'm excited about that. Again, happy to and the board perspective, and they talked the whole time from classroom to board table and how's it all work seamlessly. So I appreciate you joining us. And we'll talk about it at a retreat on Wednesday as well and what that means for us. I had an extra interview with Randy before he left. Was really good. He brought up a couple of things as I talked to him about challenges and that he's seeing. Our trainer that we purchase now, we used to have Millennium. It's now costing about $28,000 a year. He said it's doubled from what he was paying Millennium. I really quickly sent out an email to our conference schools today, just asking their cost and how they're handling it. Yeah, one's paying 11.5. Ballard has one on staff. Carlos paying 20. Bondurant says they're very similar to us in cost. But all of them are helping in some fashion with general fund, either paying or splitting the cost. We know that the costs are going up, because we're talking about ticket prices. You approve that. I think we may need to look at supporting a portion of that cost out of general fund going forward. I'll work with Nick on what that maybe needs to look like, but that's just a growing cost. A couple of facility things you talked about were pretty good facilities, but our junior high baseball and softball fields probably need a little work. We may look at some PEPAL dollars to put some resurfacing on there and address some of that. They're not used very often, but they're definitely showing some wear and probably need some attention. So that's just a couple of things. The dissolution meeting at OM, I sent that to you. Ray's there tonight. He took the letter. If there's any questions, I'll provide any feedback or share anything that I get back from him when he gets back. Our admin retreats is Wednesday. We typically down to the cidery, but that's closed. It was great. It was actually cheaper for us to find a place in West Des Moines than it was to find some place in Winterset when the cidery was closed. So we'll be there for a day to meet and go through and get ready for the next year. The last thing came kind of really late. So on the 28th of June, we were notified that we knew it was coming, but the DOT changed their minor driver's license, now allowing them to drive to work within 25 miles of their residence. The district has had, and I gave you the board policy 502.1, where it spelled out your kind of the board's expectation for a minor's driving license, that they have to be involved in a curricular or an activity in order to drive. I reached out to the DOT today and asked, is that something the district can still do? Can we make that as a requirement before we sign off? And they said some districts choose not to sign them at all because they don't believe a 14-year-old should drive. So they said, ultimately, you can choose whether to sign it or not. I don't know if I like that a lot or not. I did reach out to the DE to get guidance from them and wasn't able to get a hold of anybody today. Thomas Mays and got no answer. So based on what I did, I think we can continue. My question is, do we want to continue? And I'll give you the flip side. When it was just for school activities, okay, I can understand that, because if you're not participating in extracurricular activity, we have a bus that can get you to and from school. Now that it's work related though, and if I don't sign on it, they can't drive to work, is that negatively impacting a student who may need to do that? But it is board policy. It would take us to amend and change that going forward. So you can't make a decision, but some advice on how you'd like to proceed. Do we bring it back and adjust it? Do we want to continue as is? I mean,
I think maybe you just give people a chance to digest what we have and think of the negative and positive implications that it could have. There's all sorts of stuff that we could do, but it's kind of interesting that it's like June 28th.
It's now a school problem.
July 1st, it's put into effect.
Yeah.
Here's a new force.
Here's a new thing. If you guys
July
try this out
1st.
the next 5 days. that'd be
Yeah.
great. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with necessarily, because you're just saying like, yeah, if you wanna drive to work, I guess so. And, you know, we could do like employment verification, like once a quarter, we need some sort of document from your employers that you still have a job. You do, then we'll continue to sign off on this, but like, again, we need like feedback from the DOT, like, how does this work? Like, can you like take these away
Yeah.
on a quarterly basis, or is it annually? Since you pay for your driver's license for a year, so I don't know, but I think there's a question.
So part of your question is, it also came with a new form. So the new form is, it has to be signed by the parent, has to be, they have to provide what activities they're involved in, what school they attend, their address, and then their employer. And the name of the supervisor. And then anytime that changes, it's supposed to be updated and kept in the car. So if they're stopped and they're not en route to school and they say, I'm going to work, the officer can pull up, well, where's the address? You know, call and have a phone number to call a supervisor. We could require that that's filled out prior to me signing it. You know, right now they get the activities director, but you know, you have to put, I filled up for Addison, for example. The activity she's in, she's working at this pool, put her supervisor in, sign it, it's in her car now. So that's, they did give you that. There's consequences if she's off the route, but as far as revoked, reviewed quarterly, there's nothing like that. So once it's signed, it's in place and it's on the parent and student to update that form if they change activities or employer. So yeah, just bring it to light. Yeah, the timing's terrible. I mean, we got it on 28th and we're already getting parents coming in and.
And I'd ask you too, you know, reach out to the student.
Have that chance to do that,
You
yeah.
know, see what some other districts are doing on that one, because it is so district dependent and might find a little information and see how some other ones are handling it.
I thought when it went to being allowed to drive to work, that would supersede and it
That's
was
out of
a
our-
formality for me to sign it. Like if mom and dad sign it, yeah, this is the school you attend and because they have to basically, I'm signing out that this is the school they attend and that, and they're like, well, no, some districts, it's up to you if you sign it or not.
So is the school district just verifying that like, yeah, this student does go to school here, this student does participate in this activity? And then does the employer have to sign the form as well? It says, yes, the student works here.
No, just parent signs off on it.
And we can no longer use just a stamp. You know, they used to come in and they had everything in order, but now it takes a wet signature.
And
We have
when
signage
the
one.
rollers at the pool during the summer, it changes when they go into the school year.
Yeah, so Addie, we'll have to update the form if she gets the job during the year.
And that's where that's on the
Yeah.
parent responsibility to do that. So if somebody's driving around 1 a.m. when the pool's closed, police can pull over and say, not that yours. would
I'm
be-
still driving to the pool.
Yeah, like I think that's the,
It just brought it
The
to light.
accountability part.
It really did brought our board policy to light with the change and.
Well, and does it need to go to Allers to have them review it and look at it and say like?
I haven't asked them
your-
yet.
your Legal responsibility is to verify that this kid is.
I would assume this one is not probably from IASB policy since there's so much.
No, I did look.
It's one that is district specific.
It does say, Allers, I went to their sample policy, you guys can look up, the 50210 is the only policy they have, but it says insert district
District policy here.
in it.
Yeah.
This board made a decision just to make it 502.11, which you can, yeah,
Been around a long time.
and put that criteria in place,
So
so.
we just put a statement in there that says like, we're verifying the education and the location of that, and that's it.
I'll do some work,
It's on the parents.
yeah, I'll do some work on other districts and Allers and try and get
That's what I'm
the,
saying, like, from a liability standpoint, all you're doing is verifying, just getting an education in your school and. You're
Yeah.
signing off on them being able to drive to school because they're in an activity.
Yep.
Employment wise, like, what's our liability if that kid's?
I'll do some, like, I'll reach out to some other districts and try and get Allers. Like I said, the D said, cause I called the lady, she goes, I don't know if I like that advice, and she asked her supervisor. She's like, yeah, it says some districts are choosing not to sign it. She goes, so it puts you in like a conflict with the parent, what if they challenge it? And I'm like, I have no idea. And so one of her colleagues said, she goes, well, actually, one of my colleagues dealt with something similar, and the advice you're supposed to give is to reach out to the DE.
Sorry, was that audible?
So I made the phone call and I can't leave a message at that number, so I have to catch him when he actually calls, so. Go
So
ahead,
they
Jen.
still will have to be, if they're not in an extracurricular of some type, they can't get one of these, or it can just, we have to sign off for it just for them to go to work.
So you can get one just to drive to school.
Now you don't even.
You don't have to be involved in an activity.
That's our
Okay.
Winterset has said, and I think originally whether it was right, I think it was before the expansion, it was allowed to parking. There wasn't a lot of parking, so they tried to keep it to kids who needed to drive, is what I've been told, whether that's true or not.
Okay.
But that was something that the athletic director signs off that says, yep, you're in this activity. And that comes as one of the forms they would give us, and then we would sign it.
Well, it used to be two, you had to be over a mile, that was
That's
in there, and
no
that
longer-
was taken out years ago,
Yeah.
I told Justin, he goes, no, that has been a thing for a while, I was like, oh.
It's no longer
We
the
were always
case
told.
either, yeah. So really, it's if you're 14, have a 6 months worth of, drive your learner's permit for 6 months, you qualify, and then you just sign off like this is the district that they should be driving to. They attend here or accredited non-pub. That's from the DOT requirement side. And now the work is filled out. As a district, we put in like, no, you have to be involved in activity, which has stood. And apparently, based on the D, like, yeah, you can choose whether or not to sign it or not. She said some districts, her supervisor says some districts don't sign it because they don't think a 14-year-old should be driving. I'm like, there's probably some validity to that too.
Well, and we did say that they couldn't be a ninth grader, because we had some that would be of age, well,
Eighth grader, can't be an eighth grader, yeah.
they would come of age and they would have passed driver's ed, but they were still an eighth grader at the
Yeah.
tail end of the year, and we said no eighth graders.
I know, and I know districts have done that too. So districts have put, not to bring it up, have
Yeah.
put limitations on it for a while. But what I thought when you made it for work and now I can keep a kid from being able to drive to work, does that trump what I'm able to do? And the deal, her answer was, well, no, you can decide whether you sign it or not.
I still don't, like, it's just boggles my mind that this is somehow a school district.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's so weird.
I'll try-
On the public.
I will try and do some digging and get you guys into a board update and we can decide if you wanted to do anything or maintain as is, so,
Perfect.
yeah. But if parents come, at least you know where it's coming from.
Anything else, Jeff? Oh, you're gone.
Yeah, I'm gonna be gone vacation the last week of July, so.
If nothing else, next meeting is August 12th, right here at 5 o'clock, and if nothing else, we are adjourned.